What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Hoda Husband Podcast. I'm your host, Terry Duran. We missing one of our co-hosts tonight. We missing my man, SD. He had other things he had to take care of. So we'll catch up with him next episode. But I got my man, J Bobo, in the building. What's going on, bro?
Not much. What's going on, T? Definitely look forward to having ST back next week. Would love to have him in on the conversations that we're going to have here. But you want to make sure that you subscribe to us on YouTube as well as follow us on TikTok at hoetohusbandpodcast. All right, T.
I want to give a shout out to my man, Brother Soul Productions, for keeping us laced with our background audio. I also want to remind everybody that y'all can continue to donate to our podcast, to our Cash App and our PayPal. And I also want to remind everybody that y'all can catch the audio playback of the podcast every Monday afternoon at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on the Core 94. All right, man, we got a real interesting topic tonight. Tonight's episode is titled Keep 'Em Coming. We're going to be having a discussion about how to keep things spicy in a relationship and how to build the intimacy in a relationship. So I'm anxious to having that conversation, but y'all know how we do around here. We like to discuss stuff we've seen on our timelines or stuff that have been trending. And this first story, man, I don't think this has been, I haven't seen nothing as prominent as this on my timeline. This story of the police officer that was fired for having sexual encounters with several of her coworkers. We've heard about situations like this all the time. Yeah. But it's never been put on blast like this. From what I've gathered, her and her husband are in an open relationship, or at least that's how they're spinning it.
Allegedly.
Allegedly in an open relationship. But man, just imagine that. I've heard about women like this that are hoes at work, that have slept with several coworkers and all that. Depending on who you ask, man, some people love having those type of women on the workforce. Other women can see it as a big problem. I'm not sure if the other men that she was sleeping with were in relationships or not. But I can definitely see why HR had to come in on this situation.
Yeah, man, this is crazy. I mean, you know what? Stuff like this at jobs aren't necessarily uncommon. It's just, this one just has blown up over the past week. Because think about it, you've been in the military. We've seen and heard stuff like this with women in the military doing stuff just like this. So I can imagine it'd be the same thing on a police force. I'm sure this isn't the only police force where this has happened at.
Yeah, I mean, there's always, sex on the job and work relationships and things of that nature when you have
sneaky link
co-ed workforce, whether that's an office environment, a military, a hospital, any dynamic where men and women are around. Just people, because it could be same-sex situations. So it's a social construct that physical attractiveness, flirting, and sexual tension is a common thing when it comes to work.
Just think about this for a second. Just think, let's just say, insert the place where you work at, right? You have 10 men and 10 women. Something's going to happen between somebody. Even if you had 10 men and 5 women, something's going to happen between somebody. It's just inevitable because you have the opposite sex in the workplace. And obviously, they're going to be, if you're heterosexual, you're going to be attracted to each other naturally, being you're interacting with each other all the time. And you're around each other a lot of times in some jobs more than you are at home with your family.
True. That's probably changed a little bit since COVID hit and a lot of people work from home for the most part. But you're right. The dynamics that take place when you're around other people and how that changes over time. Because people change over time. Somebody go get a BBL, somebody lost weight, somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like they was married, now they divorced. Like, so you just see a lot of different energy when it comes to those environments. And we talk about, my whole past in the call center and situations like that. When I was a teacher, just a lot of different environments I've experienced sexual encounters at work or with coworkers.
Man, you said, obviously, and I'm sure you probably seen as a teacher, they say, hey, like women teachers are some of the biggest freaks out there. Now, in my experiences, hey, there might be some merit to that.
Yeah, man. When I was teaching, man, I lived vicariously through my partner, Eddie B. He was the single teacher that was doing his thing after hours. So I would hear his stories and get the details on him. But yeah, man, I mean, especially for teaching, right? Because teaching is a female-dominated environment. So most campuses don't have a lot of available men, you know what I'm saying? Especially that the women like. So the ones that do, those guys usually move in a way where they hitting somebody on a low, whether they single or not. It just is what it is, Now the problem though comes once you break things off. You see messiness on social media. You could see fights. You could see somebody's spouse pulling up once they went through their phone. But there's a bunch of collateral damage that can take place with these situations, which is why companies and they respond the way that they do. They try to manage it or get out before the problem as best as they can.
Right. I mean, at the job, they usually discourage that kind of behavior, but it's like there's almost no way to really police over it unless you're sitting there watching the person 24/7, which it's impossible to do here.
Yeah, I mean, but a lot of times people get real reckless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sex in company cars, sexting on company phones, and
company time,
sending company time, company emails. People don't usually exercise the best judgment when they're in a lustful state. And the environment where you smashing a coworker or something, there's so much sexual chemistry and sexual tension around that type, especially when it's a secret. I mention all the time, like things like being a secret or knowing that you cheating. Those things add excitement to a situation, whether they should or not. That is debatable.
Or you doing something like, for example, you getting in right job. You going sneaking in the bathroom or something like that, or in the break room.
Yeah. It's a risky situation. Now that I'm older, I realize how risky that could be. You see people, CEOs and people that are making real significant money getting fired. You're like, fool, how did you mess that up? You know what I'm saying? So you gotta have some discipline and self-control once you reach a certain level. But on that ladder to coming up to the six figures and the executive positions, there's a lot of risky behavior.
Oh, yeah.
This next video that I wanted to talk about is a video of some women having a conversation where one lady's explaining to another woman how women can talk themselves out of a potential relationship with a guy. Let's take a listen.
Sometimes a woman can talk her out of a relationship. You can talk. We do that.
Yes,
we will talk.
I'm gonna say something, and this might ruffle little feathers. I don't think just being a good man is enough to stay in a relationship with them.
But when I say a good man, I mean like he's good. That means all around. That means himself, spiritually, mentally, physically.
That's great.
Healthily, like he's a good man.
That doesn't mean that he's the man for you. And maybe when you're going through these motions of getting to know him, you're realizing, okay, he's a great person, but honestly, I don't fuck with his humor. Like, he could be funny, but he's not funny to me.
And that's why a lot of modern women are getting 40 with 4 cats and no man, because he's a good man, but because he's not funny, you gotta throw that out.
Okay, now I think the conversation talked about a couple different things. one aspect of it, women curving quality men for really silly or insignificant reasons. I appreciate the lady in the video bringing it up and preaching the accountability on it, because it is something. But I can also understand where the other lady's coming from. I think she was trying to talk about the compatibility factor. Like, you could be a good person or you could be a well-rounded person on paper and still not be compatible enough to date somebody long-term or seriously. So I can understand that. I think a lot of women would probably be better off leaning more towards the stable men that can provide a stable lifestyle long-term. But we've seen most women are emotion-based. So they want the guy that's exciting, that's the fuck boy, that's fun, that's the great sex, the passion and all the things that they talk about. So a lot of women, we see that this is how they're kind of wired to make their dating decisions.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of times they'll choose Mr. Excitement over substance a lot of times, right? Yeah, no, sometimes the guy looks good on paper. Maybe he can be a little socially awkward, a little nerdy, and sometimes some women just aren't drawn to that. And I get it, but I think you're better off getting that guy. He'd be better off for you in the long run, as opposed to just getting short-term fulfillment there.
Well, see, what happens a lot of time is women end up settling for that type of guy when they get older. The women that are still attractive in their 30s and 40s, they get with the nerd that's finally got the bag, that never really got women, and so now he's just super excited that the attractive woman is dating him. So he tries to spoil her, and he's afraid to tell her no, and he operates from a fear of losing her type of perspective. So a lot of women, they'll use you to pay the bills, but they'll cheat with the guy they really like, or they'll treat him in a way that where the energy's not reciprocated. So it's not a real beneficial situation for a guy to put himself in. But there's a sucker born every minute, man.
Exactly. Another thing stood out when she said, women talk themselves out of relationships. Yeah, she's absolutely right. I think it's the equivalent, when they say men talk themselves out of pussy. Same thing when women talk themselves out of a relationship.
Yeah.
You say something that's just crazy, you're like, man, is she serious right now? Yeah, I can't take her seriously. Same thing with men, they say someone real like goofy, like, oh yeah, I ain't giving them.
Yeah. I think that's because the dating situation is fluid. What you learn about a person, what they say, how they do, can impact how you feel about dating them going forward. Now, for most guys, if he's already shot his shot, he's sexually attracted to you. So if y'all dating or kicking it or having sex already, a woman saying something that would make her not be somebody he wants to be with long term is not enough to cut her off or cut off sex with a woman. So most guys are not going to inform you like, oh, you just disqualified yourself for your girlfriend or wife. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not going to give you the alert on that. But trust me, guys, I say it over and over again on my page. Men observe women based off what they experience and learn about her over time.
Right.
So how you handle yourself in different situations and different environments are going to shape and mold how a man views you and basically the basket that he puts you in.
Yeah. Especially like, okay, he sees you, and let's just say you're in a pub, say you see your bar cup, and you're sitting there just flirting every guy in the spot. Yeah, gonna look at you a little different there. Obviously she likes attention.
Yeah, that's kind of where the guys that go wrong, like the ones that fall for the strippers and fall for the Instagram models and all that.
Yep.
Like, their looks is very easy to get overwhelmed and get drawn into it. But the guys that we've all heard the stories. You don't have to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should give yourself, like, they want to change her into somebody that they can be with long term. But they not really built like that. Yeah, a lot of those women ain't built like that. And so if you're not in a position where you can just treat it for it is what it is, women that are for the streets, they great to have a blast with. As long as you know your role and you can stay in your lane. You know, a lot of guys don't stay in their lane when it comes to attracting.
You know what? I've never understood that, right? You're getting what you want. Okay, you're getting somebody who's willing to sleep with you on a regular basis or whenever you want to sleep with her, right? And you're gonna screw that because you can't put your feelings aside. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, if you're getting what you want out of it, hey, you winning.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think that's how most guys look at it. Because most guys they don't have the goal of getting married or in a serious relationship. And so long as they go from being strangers with the woman that they meet to being romantically or sexually involved, most men are going to view that as a win no matter how the situation ends or how long it lasts.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to talk about something that I saw. I know it ain't necessarily a good trending topic, but man, it's something that as a dad, it just really pissed me off, man. It was a story I saw on my timeline today about the Alabama college basketball player was involved with the shooting of a 23-year-old woman. Now there are some mixed reports. Some reports say that he started shooting at the car because the woman rejected his advance. There's another story saying that while they were talking to the women, some other guys started shooting at them, and the woman got killed in the crossfire. So I guess we can do some more fact checking. But when I saw the story, I saw the headline that the guy shoots a woman because she rejected him. And man, we see these videos all the time where guys respond to rejection with violence. And I never understood that. Even as a kid, you know, you see the guy, hey, how you doing, beautiful? The woman, oh, fuck you, bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, damn, bro, how you have a whole 180 on your energy towards a woman? And that was something that I always use as a do not do type of vibe. Like I never responded to rejection like that, and thank God I didn't, because there are so many chicks that you don't know why a woman's rejecting you. She could actually like you. You know what I'm saying? Like she could just be going through a breakup or in a different situation. So you handle it with class and with respect. Man, I can't even count the number of times I've been able to sleep with a chick on the back end because I didn't mess it up just off the initial rejection. And I just wish a lot of guys would learn that. Like, there's no reason to be angry at a woman that's not feeling you. That just means that you either got work to do or you need to find somebody else. It's really that simple, man.
It is, you know, and, man. These are one of these sad and unfortunate situations. When I originally read it, you know, he allegedly shot her because, you know, she rejected him. I was like, how lame is that, right? Especially not only that, you're a basketball player at a big time college like Alabama. Man, there's plenty of women on that campus you can get. If she says no, I mean, it's not like she's the only chick on campus there.
You don't even have to be the star athlete at a college to have successful women. You know what I mean? Like just being on the basketball team or on the baseball team, that's really your identity as a college athlete. You know, some people thrive in it, some don't. But man,
and trust me, the women on the campus, they know who you are when you play on the team. You know, most of the time, you know who the athlete is. Most of the time, they're just walking around. You know, they're usually wearing the school athletic gear around campus. Says, you know, Alabama basketball. So they know who he is.
Plus, they the dude that's 6'7" in your class. You know what I'm saying? Like the athletes stand out for a reason. They bigger, taller. You know what I'm saying, and more muscular than the average dudes for the most part. But that special treatment, you know, it is what it is. You've from a male perspective, you've always had to be on the dating scene or in the dating pool with those type of guys. But on the backside of that, if you talk to women about those type of guys, that entitlement or that prestige that they got from being the popular high school athlete, the popular middle school athlete, they never really developed the skills like we mentioned, you know, we talk about all the time, that it takes to be able to holler at chicks and have the swag that actually gets you success with women.
Well, what is they're used to a lot of, and even not even just in college, since high school and even middle school, you were the star athlete of the team. So the women, just flock to it. Because you think about, women flock, and just people in general flock to a winner. You think about LeBron's career, when people wanted to play with LeBron, because they know playing with LeBron, they have a chance to win the championship every year. So people want to be around a winner. So
and then the
high school and everything.
Yeah, I mean the social dynamics of star athletes, especially in the Black community, it's been studied for decades. I remember just how women how chicks will respond to guys that play sports in school. Just volunteering to who they would want to give their virginity to and who they would rather sleep with. I couldn't believe some of the stuff that I saw just off of their popularity and their swag or whatnot. But those are the things that you learn, what you have to have in order to get your toolbox ready to be successful with women. But part of that is the emotional control that comes with rejection. It's part of the game. It's everybody's going to deal with rejection. A woman might not like you, but she like your homie. So you just you have to learn to be in a way where you can flip the script and not make it a hostile environment over it.
I mean, listen, you're not going to be for everybody, and not everybody's going to like you for whatever reasons. I can approach them, hey, maybe they're not into light-skinned guys. It is what it is. If I got rejected, I would say, hey, all right, well, no problem. Enjoy your night.
Yeah, I mean, but the reality is, majority of the time you're going to be rejected.
Yeah,
that's what the reality is. Majority of the time, you are not going to end up with the woman you shoot your shot at. That's why you have to be accustomed to doing it often. That small percentage of success, it's a numbers game. You multiply it by a number of outcomes, and you're going to get more results. And so the guys that understand that, it's just the situations like this, man. I think about all the lives that are ruined. Condolences to the young lady's family that are dealing with the tragedy. But man, as a father, thinking about stuff like this, like, man, your kid's at college chilling, headed to the store or something, and her car gets shot at over some foolishness. Like, man, it's
these are supposed to be some of the best times of your life. Something where you're really enjoying. Because you'll never get a chance to do something like that again once you're out of college, and you have to get a job and make a living and pay bills to survive there, right?
Yeah,
it's just sad. Parents, something a parent that never wants to do is bury their child.
Yeah, it's really sad, man. I wish this generation had more respect for life. But we can say the same thing about the guys in my generation. Coming up in Kansas City, it was very violent. So it was one of the reasons that I was so anxious to leave and go to the military and relocate. And
still is to this day. The crime rate still relatively high there to this day. It has a pretty high murder rate there.
Economics, lack of opportunity it's a different environment, man. When I go back home and I see my friends from high school and all that, very few are living nice lifestyles. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I ain't gonna say I feel guilty. I ain't rich or nothing. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like I'm living some extravagant lifestyle. But the lifestyle that I live is significantly better than the average that I see back when I go home. So I'm thankful, and I'm able to keep those type of things in perspective.
Absolutely. And it's you're not in a minority. A lot of folks do leave Kansas City, once first chance to get, whether they're moving to Houston, Dallas, Atlanta,
already you got to get to where you can get the money. All right, man. Look like we up against the clock. We about to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be getting into our topic of the night. Keep them coming. Where we're discussing how to keep things spicy in a relationship and how to maintain the intimacy for a committed couple. Y'all are tuned into the Ho to Husband podcast. We'll be back in a moment. Hi, I'm relationship coach and author Terry Duran, and I am pleased to announce that my book, It's Not That Complicated, is finally available as an audiobook. So if you don't like to read or you just don't have time to read a paperback book, this audiobook is perfect for you. You can listen to it while you're in your car, while you're at work, etc. In the book, I break down how husband material men think and operate in regards to sex, love, and relationships, and I provide real quality insight on how husband material men approach dating. The audiobook is available on audible.com and on iTunes. All you have to do is go to one of the websites and search for my name, Terry Duran. Go download your copy today. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Ho to Husband podcast. We got our guests on tonight. We got Kaycee Polite on. How you doing, Kaycee?
I am fantastic. I am so good. How are you all doing tonight?
We're doing great.
Back on.
You're a friend of the podcast. You've been on with us before, so we appreciate you taking the time to come on again. Before we get into the conversation, can you introduce yourself and give us a little bit about your background for the viewers that are just meeting you for the first time?
Absolutely. So for those of you who aren't familiar with me, my name is Kaycee Polite. I'm a clinical social worker. I am a sex and relationship therapist and coach. I have a private practice here in Texas, and I have clients all over the world, which is a complete privilege. I'm obsessed with French fries and buffalo cauliflower, by the way, so I'll put that out there. And I'm celebrating my birthday in a couple weeks, so I got to put that out there as well.
Happy
January
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yes. So that's a little bit about me.
All right, well, tonight's episode is titled Keep Them Coming. No pun intended. And I wanted to just kind of discuss with an expert some of the best practices when it comes to keeping a relationship spicy, keeping the sex life, active and flowing. So my first question I wanted to ask you, just from what you've learned, what would you say is the biggest factor when it comes to having an orgasm? Would you say it was the mental aspect or the physical aspect of it?
I think that is going to vary by the person, to be honest with you. I think the biggest factor that hinders orgasm is stress. So if we can decrease stress and increase being present in the moment, you are more likely to experience an orgasm. So it really just depends on what it is that connects for your desire and arousal. For some people, it is more mental stimulation. Other people, it's all about the physical. And then others, they need that combo. They need a little bit of both. But it does require you to be, particularly for women, to be completely present and not boggled down by other things. Because once your mind goes somewhere else, you can forget it. Like you cannot fully be in your body to experience an orgasm.
Okay. All right. That's a good breakdown. I never really had it had anybody explain that like the stress is the opposite of sexual pleasure.
Never thought about that. I thought people had sex to relieve stress.
Relieve stress. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yes, yeah, well, I guess for a guy, because if I'm stressed out or I'm mad, busting a nut make me forget everything.
I'm the same way.
Exactly. But here's the thing. When you're experiencing stress, you're not bringing that into the bedroom, right? Like you're present with what's happening. You might be stressed, but typically women or just some other people, they bring the stress with them. And that makes it hard. Yeah. Because there's a really big gap. Do y'all realize that like in a sexual encounter, like 90 to 100% of men orgasm every single time. And for women, it's 30 to 60%.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a huge gap.
It is a huge gap. It is a huge. I mean, well, when I have polls and stuff on my page, it seems like most women come from oral sex instead of intercourse, and I think for guys it's the opposite. And so I think that ain't the case.
No, that happens. So unfortunately, some women would prefer to be able to come during penetrative, but they're not getting enough stimulation of their clitoris during penetrative sex. That's necessary. That is the key that can help unlock it.
Wow.
So adding something like a sex toy or something to
or your hands.
Improve.
Yep. Your hands, her hands, something. Like there's gotta be, even if depending on the position and how your pelvises line up, there can be a lot of friction connected to the clitoris during penetration, and then women are more likely to have an orgasm. Or if you add in some nipple stimulation or other erogenous zones at the same time. Like it's gotta be a combo. Like it can't just be one sensation. You gotta have multiple sensations happening.
So it can't just be vanilla sex is what you're saying.
Vanilla with a twist at the minimum.
Okay.
All right. I wanted to ask, so what do you think is the most important way for a couple to maintain a healthy a healthy sex life? What's the biggest factor that causes couples to fall off in that regard?
Yes. So you know what? A lot of times people think it's lack of intimacy that makes them fall off. My theory is it's a lack of desire. It's not just the intimacy. People can feel close, but when you're in a relationship long term, what's often missing is desire, because it's hard to want something you already have, right? And desire requires like unknown, unpredictability. Those are the very things that are the opposite of a committed relationship. And so really for desire to be present, there's very intentional things couples need to do to create mystery in the relationship, because that's gone. Like, I mean, you know your person's patterns, you know, if this happens, they're going to do this, you know what I'm saying? And so with predictability, you get a decrease in desire. So it's not just connection and intimacy, it's building desire and working through that to keep things spicy in a relationship.
So once one gets to know each other, everything, how does one, maintain desire?
Yes. So how do you cultivate? Yes, I love that. So cultivating desire, one of the things that you have to do is spend time apart. Like a lot of times all up under each other all the time, and they want to do, like, if someone is needy in the relationship, unfortunately, that can have a very negative impact. Yes, that kills desire. So girls trip, go with your boys wherever you got to go. You know what I'm saying? Like those types of opportunities are important because they provide longing. Now you miss the person. Now they're having an experience you don't know about. So now it's like, okay, there's some mystery. It's not as predictable. That's important. So that's one of the things that I think couples need to do.
Okay. That's, I figured, when people go to work, go to their 9 to 5, you figure, doesn't that give them a chance to miss each other some? Or would you just still recommend going, out of town for a weekend guys trip, girls trip, whatever the case may be?
Yes, it needs to be something that's out of the norm, because work for people is already part of the normal routine.
Gotcha.
Yep. So now we got to do something that's not part of your normal routine. Yes.
All right, I got a question. So, tip for the fellas out there that are watching, what would you say is the most underrated way or tool for a man to arouse or turn a woman on?
Underrated. Ooh, that's a good question. So I think one of the things is anticipating a need. Now, this requires a man to, again, you need to know who you are with, But you don't just need to know what they like, you need to know when they need it. There's a huge difference in that. And that thoughtfulness can be a huge turn on for women when something is completely unexpected. And now you're adding this element of surprise. And an element of surprise is going to increase desire for the woman. So it's not just a man doing what they normally do. It's doing something like catching them completely off guard.
But you said a need. A lot of times when I see women on social media, they make big deals out of things that are wants, frivolous, luxury, designer, etc. As far as a need, is that a bill or is that something that she needed done? She needed some tires, so you got an appointment to get her tires changed or something to that effect.
Yeah, so honestly, it's the little things. Now, for some women, their love language is receiving gifts, right? But again, that's not the same as what you're saying is what is that like underrated, not really utilized. Given a gift is given a gift. But if you can anticipate that because you know the meeting she's going to have tomorrow with that presentation is going to create a certain level of stress. So when she comes home, you have already ordered the DoorDash. Okay, maybe you can't cook, but you've ordered it. You set up, the dining room table. She doesn't have to work. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of anticipating of a need. It's not about it's not about practical things, right? It's the unexpected.
Okay. That was a good one, fellas. Y'all owe me for that one. Make sure y'all implement that.
But I'm taking notes as we speak right now. Just saying
that. I wanted to say, so what are your thoughts on women that date men that have had a promiscuous past? We have a lot of conversations of, obviously with the Hold a Husband podcast.
Right.
How do women that you talk to or interact with feel about men that have been really successful with women?
I like how you said that. Really successful. Let me just note that you consider that successful.
Yeah, that is success. That is success. Yeah.
It is. You know what's unfortunate is it's considered success when men do it, but when women do it,
we have to work. We're the ones that have to work. Putting in work to accomplish a goal is a success. And so from the male perspective, we're the ones that are shooting their shot and doing that. Women don't have to work to get sex.
Women don't have to work to get sex. Yeah, I think it depends on the relationship. But let me make sure I answer your question. Okay. So your question is, see, now you got me off track. Okay, so how do women feel about a man who's had a promiscuous past? So I think some women are very intimidated by it if they're not connected to their own sensuality and have confidence sexually. So they feel like they have to outperform somebody that you were with in the past. And that creates a lot of pressure and anxiety. And sometimes women just close down. And they may have felt confident before you, but then once they get and kind of understand what your past looked like, it can be difficult for some women. And then other women see it as a challenge, right? It really just depends on what their relationship is with sex and pleasure. And then other women look at it as, you have something to teach me, right? Again, it's all about the twist. It's all about how they view their own sexuality and do they see it as a positive or a negative to be with a man who has a lot of experience.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because a lot of women that I talk to can only see negative aspects of it. But when I talk about it, I'm like, man, a guy that's been a former... Yeah, there's a lot of positive to it. For one, if he's had a whole phase and he slept with lots of women, he's a lot more capable of resisting sex or temptation moving forward. He's also had a lot more experience at resolving conflicts with women, communicating with women, observing behavior patterns and things of that nature. Yeah. So if he does decide to focus all that attention and energy on one woman, she should stand to benefit from a logical standpoint. And so that's how a lot of guys look at it. But when I talk to women about it, they feel like it increases the chances that he'll cheat and he'll still move the way that he moved before the relationship. And I guess there's some credibility to that, but I don't think that's how most guys that get married or get in a committed relationship. I don't think that's their game plan going into it.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And I think in the best case scenario, there can be a lot of positives, but I think it takes a lot of transparency for a man to be able to share with somebody they're committed with where their headspace was in their whole phase. Because when a woman understands that, there is no comparison. Like what you're doing with me and what you did with them, I don't have to worry about because that's not the relationship.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish more women thought like that or saw it from that perspective.
Exactly. Can a relationship last if a woman is thirst trapping on social media?
Ooh. Can a relationship last? Honestly, the first question I have is why the thirst traps while you're in a relationship? Like, let's talk about what your motive is. For some people, it's brand building. For some people, they are really not looking for a certain level of attention because it's going to impact their relationship. They're doing it for their business. And I think in that way, it may not have a negative impact on the relationship. But I think it really depends on the why. Like, why are you doing that? And then how do you handle the attention that you get? That's the key if this relationship is going to last or not. And are you open? Because if you are really doing that with a very specific business purpose, and I mean, people can have their opinions about it, but the key is what conversation are you having with your partner about that?
Transparency.
Exactly.
Yeah. See, I think it could only survive for a woman in certain situations. Like I can understand Cardi B or a celebrity woman or a woman that has a boutique and has swimsuits and things of that nature. So I understand some women that have to show their physique and use their attractiveness to drive sales, like you said. But it's like you said, the motive. The women that are doing it to get the blue check marks in her DM, to get the, like that's a train wreck waiting to happen, because the women that operate in that hypergamy, where they just where they just looking for the come up, looking for the next dude that got more money, more status or whatnot. That woman's gonna be almost impossible to ever have a healthy relationship with, because that's not really her goal, And so the thirst trapping, to me, I always question the guys that want that woman. Like, why you want her to be your girl, bro? Like, why would you want that to represent you out of all the women you could choose from? That to me, that's always the biggest question when I see that scenario.
Yeah, but one of the things that I've heard from men who fall for that is they have an insecurity. And so there is some validity that they feel they're getting if they feel like they got this person who's highly desirable by other men.
Okay.
Yeah. I see that too. Like that's the guys that they try to brag to other guys of how much they spend, what they do for women and stuff like that. Exactly. And I always be like, man, to me that was always dumb, because even when I was broke, I was able to sleep with the attractive women and all that. So it always made the guys look like, man, you paying for something that other guys can get for free. Or not necessarily free, but without directly paying for it or using that as an incentive. And so you're right. I definitely agree that they're doing it to make up for a lack of something, the lack of confidence, the lack of communication skills, or to just overall swag to be able to attract women by being authentic.
100%. Yes.
I had a question. I wanted to ask you, from your perspective, how would you define a healthy healthy sex life for a couple?
I think a healthy sex life for a couple is when both people feel like they can express themselves how they want to and need to sexually, right? Okay. And that includes being open about fantasies, regardless if they act them out or not. right? It's not having any secrets about what turns you on, what it takes for your arousal. Like your person shouldn't not know that. So I think a healthy sexual relationship, there's compatibility, and it doesn't mean the same. It just means that it fits, right? You can have two people who have two different drives. It doesn't have to be the same for it to be healthy, but it's got to work together.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. So would you say that there's a certain like average number of sex, amount of sex or frequency of sex that would be in the healthy range, or I guess a better question: when you in the danger zone? When are things in trouble?
Yeah. So the statistics say that couples should at least have sex of some kind of sexual activity at least once a week. Right. Okay. However, that still doesn't fit for everyone in every phase of their life. And there are some people who really are asexual. Like, let's be honest, and that's not a bad thing. That's just how they were designed. Period.
Like they never really get sexually aroused, or what?
Yes, like, very low desire. They don't require any type of regular sexual involvement with their partner. That's just not a part of who they are.
Why?
Yes.
Why would a person like that want to be in a relationship?
Exactly.
Well, why would they want to wait? What do you?
Why would you want to be committed to somebody if you ain't feeling them like that?
Because they still want a relationship. Like they want someone that fits for them. So oftentimes I see people.
But ain't that platonic? Ain't that like if you want to have a close relationship with somebody with no sex? That's a platonic buddy, right?
No, but there are people who may not have a high sex drive, but they still want to be married. They still want intimacy. So they don't just want a buddy, right?
So wait a second.
They don't kiss. They don't like do things. Wow. Like they should be able to have a relationship.
Wow. So wait, there's actually two people that get in a relationship that don't care for sex at all.
Yes.
Between both parties.
I've had clients like that. Absolutely, 100%.
Wow.
And they love it. They're so happy. Like because it works for them. That is not part of how they show up in a relationship. It's not a priority, but intimacy is still a priority, but it doesn't translate to it having to be sexual.
So how do you have intimacy without sex?
How do you have
intimacy? I can. That you sounding like a old school man. We've evolved past that, Jay.
Just like you
there are things you can do. You can massages. You can have romance. You can have conversations.
You can have
Come on, man.
Yes.
Yeah, bro. You putting us out there. You brought us back 10, 15 years with that.
But think about it. People have sex without intimacy.
Yeah, I understand that. Well, I guess I always kind of mixed up romance and intimacy, like kissing a woman, slowly touching. I always thought that's what made it intimate.
It can, but it's a mindset too, because two people can come together and just have sex with each other's bodies. They are not connected in an intimate way.
Does that mean the sexual compatibility is not there?
No, or does that mean that they have emotional connection? Is that the emotional connection you're talking about? Like they have a strong feeling towards that person? Or could it be intimacy, just really want to please this person?
That can be present as well. Yeah, I mean, I think there's so many different varieties of how that can look. Okay. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Good question.
Well, yeah. So, would you being a sex therapist? How'd you choose this profession? How'd you go down this path?
I've been asking myself the same thing. Yes. No, seriously, because it's so taboo, right? And there's a lot of there's a lot of stigma connected to talking about sex and helping people have better sex. But I think for me, I noticed that when I was going through my own sexual journey, I recognized that there was a lot of things and thoughts that I was holding on to that was getting in the way of my pleasure. And I thought I would love to have somebody that I could talk to. Like, do they have like specific people for this? I didn't, right? I was already a therapist at the time. I've been a therapist for 18 years, but I decided to specialize in sexuality only 3 years ago because I saw the need, and I have a very strong desire to connect with people and to support them with pleasure.
Okay, I got another question. I've been seeing this on my timeline, a discussion about porn. Some people are arguing it makes it, you know, where you can't have regular sex. Some people are saying it's a great tool to supplement your sex life with. What are your thoughts on porn?
Okay, so this is my thought straight up. It's just like food. Meaning if you eat too many hamburgers, it's gonna make you sick. If you don't eat hamburgers that have really good quality meat, it's gonna impact your body, right? Like same concept. If you are eating it because you are emotionally in a bad place and you are just emotionally eating, it's the same with porn, right? Understanding what is your motivation for viewing it, what purpose does it serve, and how can it support your relationship? Bottom line, you can have too much.
Time out.
Okay.
Ain't all porn watching it the same?
What do you mean?
Right.
The reason why you watch porn is to get horny or have sex, right?
Some people watch it just for education purposes. They're interested in something and they want to see how it's done. Technique. Yeah. They're not just there to get off.
Really?
They're like, okay, let me see if I can watch such and such to see how to do that technique wise.
Oh, that's new. I thought people just search for what they like the most and just watch that. Yeah.
Like if you have a foot fetish, you'll just look for foot fetish. And watch it.
Yes, that's one side of it. But the other side of it is, okay, maybe you have a foot fetish and you want to engage with your partner that way, but you're like, okay, what do I do? Do I put the big toe in my mouth? Like, how does this work? They might watch it to like see and really try to understand. Okay, oh, that's what I can do. I can massage the inner arch. Okay, I can, right? But unfortunately, though, because it is entertainment, all of that in education is not accurate, right? So if you go back and you're like, ooh, I'm gonna try to make her squirt, and then she's not squirting across the room 20 gallons of water, you're like, oh no, what did I do? I didn't do it right. Something's wrong with her. And it's like, that was entertainment. Like, that's not how the human body works.
Right. Well, yeah, see, I expect people to have a realistic perspective on it. Like, I guess if you're a 12-year-old boy, I can understand how having a smartphone.
Nope.
Grown men can't separate porn life from. That's
really.
I've seen them. They're my clients. No.
Oh man.
No, it messes some people up. Bad. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
So you're saying just trying to emulate porn just messes up that bad?
Yes. Their expectation of what they think it's supposed to look like. And when it doesn't look like that, then they think they're a problem, their relationship has an issue, their person is like, they don't...
Okay. So in that same token, then wouldn't like movies with sex scenes or shows like with sex scenes have the same kind of impact?
They can, yeah, definitely. It's just not on the same level.
Because that's very unrealistic, right? The throw them against the wall and kiss and just throw your clothes in the living room. That don't happen like that very often. But the way TV sex is, you would think that's the norm.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, and that can be a fantasy, right? So one of the things that I teach my clients is still connecting to what is your fantasy, because that can play in helping you connect with your partner, have desire, really get that arousal up. That's important. fantasy is so important. And I think porn and seeing sex in movies can help provide that.
Yeah, a lot of the women in my comments when I have conversations about like I'll put up posts saying that a man can be lust towards a woman but have self-control and never express it or not react to it. Women act like a man having sexual desire for women besides his woman means he's a bad dude or he's a bad guy or something. I'm like, man, that ain't realistic. You know what I mean? Like, you can only control what a man does. If he's you know your friend got a big booty. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's gonna notice her big booty, but the respect he has for you to not be in her DMs, to not be texting her or trying to approach your friend, that's what you should be focused on. But a lot of women will just penalize a man for what he's attracted to, and I think that's really unfair.
Yes, this expectation that when you get into a relationship, you no longer see anything attractive ever in life ever again is just false. I mean, it's just, that doesn't even make any sense, right? Just like you could be full after a meal, but if I walk by a bakery and I see some really good vegan donuts, that doesn't mean I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, that looks so good, I could have a donut, but I'm full. I don't need another donut. I'm just gonna walk by. Like, I'm not gonna do any, I'm gonna walk by.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's hard to have these kind of conversations because once you start having a sexual conversation, things can go left or go haywire so fast. So having somebody like you that got facts and knowledge and can keep the conversation grounded is definitely a big help. I appreciate you, School. I definitely feel like I learned a lot because I definitely didn't realize people was watching porn on to actually learn.
Taking notes. People taking notes.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
I thought that was what the kids were doing when they got hold of porn, like the beginning stages, until you actually experience it yourself.
Yeah.
Look like we up against the clock. Before we get up out of here, can you let the viewers know where they can catch your content, those that need therapy, how they can reach you and set up an appointment?
Yes, absolutely. I am always on Instagram as the Pleasure Pusher, sharing information and content related to sex, pleasure, and intimacy at K_spot_therapy. You can also check me out on my website at kayceepolite.com to book a session. Yeah.
All right. That's what's up. We definitely enjoyed the conversation and we appreciate you taking the time to come on. Before we get up out of here, I want to give another shout out to my man, Brother Soul Productions, for keeping us laced with our background audio. I want to remind y'all to continue supporting the podcast through our Cash App and our PayPal. Jay, man, I appreciate you linking up with me so we can get another episode knocked out. And SD, we'll get you next episode, bro. Kaycee, again, thank you very much. We really enjoyed the conversation.
My pleasure.
This has been another episode of the Ho to Husband podcast, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.